This is the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast, brought to you by Sysco. Sysco is here to help set you up for success by delivering high-quality foods, products, and services for your restaurant. Recording live to digital from the NCF&B studios in downtown Raleigh. Join us as we lead you into the kitchen, inside the bottle, and into the minds of the food and beverage industry. And now, with food stuck in their teeth, it's Max Trujillo and Matthew Weiss.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your only host. Well, I've got a backup host. He's over there in my...
Half a host.
But I'm Max Trujillo. Matthew Weiss is in Italy right now on vacation.
Do the wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. Everyone's
I feel sorry for him.
sad. Well, that other voice right there is Mr. Aaron Vaughen. Say hello, Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
Aaron Vaughen is he and I are releasing his new show, The Single-Handed Podcast, stemming off of the Single-Handed Chef Instagram account that he has, but
YouTube channel,
yes, where Aaron and I have been working on this for a while now. We've got about 8 episodes under our belt, and we're releasing it now. So if you're interested in watching or listening to a brand new podcast produced by yours truly, but hearing some great inspirational stories about Raleigh, about people, about food, about overcoming such things. Let's talk with Aaron. Aaron, you had a brain abscess about 3 years ago that rendered the right side of your body a little bit hard to move.
Yeah, August 21. Had an infection that went through my mouth and attached to my left side of my brainstem, and it ruined my right side. Well, not ruined because I'm on the mend in a way.
Yeah, you're progressively better than you were then, but at the time you weren't able to do much, including like your eye, your legs.
My vision was really bad. I couldn't move my arm at all, couldn't move my leg at all, and I still can't move my right hand, but I can, move my arm and everything.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good where I'm at.
Yeah, and the podcast itself, which we're going to release a new episode every Tuesday, will feature a guest similar to the format of the NCF&B podcast, but it's not going to be specific to food. We're going to talk to people that you've known through your life, close friends, maybe even just some new people in your life, but people that have either supported you, understand what's going on in your life, but then even just great connections. We're talking politics, we're talking sports, we're talking
peanut butter.
Oh, yeah, we got into peanut butter for a good while.
Yeah.
And who are some of the people that you've had on the show?
Margie Hennessy, Chico Scott, Mike Rosato, Matt Fern, people like that. I've even actually just talked with, I'm doing a cooking demo at Wake Med. And so I'm going to have my PT/OT team, they're going to come in on the podcast.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we got approval from Wake Med. So, that was I have to give an outline. But pretty much they said okay because I'm doing this event for them.
That's awesome. And then as far as the episode today, we are talking BB's Crispy Chicken. And with us in studio, we have Doug Warf, the president at MDO Holdings. Hello, Doug.
Howdy.
And we have Justin Simpson, the director of operations for BB's Crispy Chicken. So hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to the studio, everybody. This is great. So, Aaron, you have some tie to BB's. We all, if you're local, you knew that Ashley Christensen, famed chef in our area, and one of the more famous chefs in the country, helped to kind of create the conceptual idea of BB's Crispy Chicken. You spent some time working with her.
Yeah, I worked for her at Enatech Event for about 6-7 years, back from 2001 to 2006-7. So I went from being like her right-hand man to being, I think it was a chef de cuisine by the time I left.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, and so we'll start off there. For those that are familiar with BB's, there are 3 locations around. You got Raleigh, you got Cary, you got Durham. You've seen it around. They've definitely promoted it. It did originally start with Ashley. She is no longer attached to the business any longer, but a lot of her creativity and direction kind of still pours through. Maybe, Doug, let's start with you right there. Maybe walk us through a little bit of like where BB stands today as opposed to where it was originally when it first started.
Man, How long do we have on the podcast?
We're going to go 5 hours today, everybody. No.
Yeah, it's been a great journey. And to your point, Ashley is and was a huge piece of it. So, it's probably the most amicable separation that you've ever seen in a business. So Ashley was key on this. Michael Olander Jr., who owns MDO Holdings, his family has a long relationship with Ashley. And I started with him in 2017. I think one of the first things he told me about was I want to do like a Beasley's modified version, taking it outside of downtown Raleigh.
Yeah.
And we started conversations with Ashley in 2017. And so it was one of those things where it took a while to come together. And the world kind of changed from where we started to where we are today. Where we are today, Justin is our director of ops. He worked with Ashley. Ashley was fantastic. We can go through all the ways that we kind of founded things and went through the processes.
Yeah.
But as we came out of the pandemic and everything was different, and everything that we kind of envisioned in 2017, 18, and 19 had shifted by the time we opened in October of 21. We were pushing, we were trying to make it work, and it was just hard. Her restaurants, AC restaurants, needed some focus. Downtown Raleigh needed some focus, and she's always had a huge heart for DTR.
Yeah.
So it was a very amicable, hey, you've got to focus here. We need a lot of focus on BB's. And Justin was doing a fantastic job. So that was where we kind of separated ways in an ownership group, but still close friends, still talk a good bit. She still comments on social media and what the fries are looking like and what the cook temps look like and all those
Not
things.
Ashley.
Yeah.
When she's done, she's done. Not at all.
Yeah, no.
And we love it too. Like it's fun and it helps us.
Well, and so Justin, so you were working there. That maybe I didn't know that. You were on the team while Ashley was still there. So you were working alongside her for a little while.
Briefly, I joined right after the second location opened in Durham.
Okay, and you have LinkedIn's a great thing, right? You can tell where everybody came from, but you have years of experience working in like quick service restaurants. You had time at Panera from what I gather 6 years, and then also even Buffalo Wild Wings for like 7 years. Is that right?
Correct.
So so this is not new to you to do something kind of quick service, multiple locations, managing many moving parts and all. So how does that parallel to working with BB's, and how have you made that transition?
It was quite different. Coming from more powerhouse companies and jumping into the local area, it was still quick casual QSR style service. But I really had an energy coming into working with fresh organic ingredients and just kind of pushing the envelope instead of just following the script that was provided for you with the larger companies.
Yeah, it's got to be. I worked next to the Panera in North Hills for years as the GM at Midtown Grill. So we shared a back door, and I'd always just being the judgy GM, the door would be open in the back door, and I'd see into the kitchen, and I would yell at your team every now and then. I'm like, bring those boxes down. They're all over this space. They hated me. I was that guy. So, but, you're all in the same.
Max in your payroll?
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
It's just, you gotta do that stuff. I mean, probably as a manager, you're like, come on, guys. He's kind of right.
Listen to every word that was said there.
Yeah. And now the joke is still on you because my daughters go to school nearby, and they basically just use that dining room as their after school hours to just hang out. And I don't even know if they're buying food. I'm like, you girls are going to get kicked out. You're freeloading in this Panera. Get out of there. Something like that.
Yeah, they'll hoard it out. It's
Yeah.
just like this whole dining room full of kids eating cookies.
Yeah, there's it's always chaos there. But okay, so let's get into BB's Crispy Chicken. So Doug, you and I, we talked about this for a quick moment. There was a time where I used to write for Raleigh Magazine, and I was tasked. I mean, let's be honest, everybody, and I'm talking to you, not you guys in the room. I'm talking to the listeners. Y'all are so crazy for chicken sandwiches.
They are.
It's right, Aaron? It's too much. It's a chicken sandwich. I get it.
Well, Popeyes changed theirs. Popeyes had a po' boy, chicken po' boy. And then they had to, because they were now in North Carolina, I guess, they had to have a chicken sandwich. And I just don't, a fried chicken sandwich with pickles. Yeah, it's all kind of the same everywhere.
And when it happened,
and everywhere.
Yeah, and when Popeyes released that stupid sandwich, no offense to anyone making chicken sandwiches, present company not excluded. It's I get it. It's a bun and it's fried chicken and it's a pickle and maybe some mayo. It's great, but do we need to freak out? And like, so during the time I was tasked at Raleigh Magazine to write an article about who has the best chicken sandwich. And I mean, to say that there's a competitive set is like, it's an understatement. I mean, just off the top of my head, you have like Chick-fil-A, you've got Popeyes, you got Bojangles, you got KFC, you got Raising Cane's, you got Zaxby's, you got Church's, Pollo Campero, which by the way looks an awful lot like Los Pollos Hermanos, the best-selling blue meth chicken space from Breaking Bad, and then even like another local one, PDQ. You know, I think maybe they just have one location. Oh my God, look at this thing.
I know they have the one in North Raleigh. I don't know if they have another one.
They closed that. It's PNC Arena only now.
Well, and then when I worked at Rise, chicken biscuit was very important. Then we added, I don't know how they do it now, but they added the potato roll so they could have the chicken sandwich. And chicken on art was very important for the biscuit, you know. So probably the same thing for y'all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you exist in such a saturated market? I mean, you could say the same thing about burgers and all, but it feels like everyone has so much like opinion and pride about their chicken sandwich. So where does BB's sit in that, and how do you position yourself different than everyone else?
I think it's a challenging market.
Yeah.
There's a chicken sandwich everywhere. I think we do a few things that set us apart from there. We use a larger cut on the breast, which I think.
Yeah.
Like I look for value when I eat something. I don't want a flat piece of grade chicken with breading on top. You know, as a whole, you speak on Ashley. We still use Ashley's recipe for the chicken sandwich. It's a great piece of chicken. It's a really good bite. And I think we're in the process now of elevating a few of the sauces or the presentation of how that's going to eat. But I think quality ingredients, great service, cool locations is something that helps set us apart as well.
Well, I liked your bun, you know, because a lot of times they put a big bun on it. Just I don't know why. Yeah. And your bun I felt was a good size. The chicken kind of came out, so the chicken felt bigger, but the bun was a nice size, and I loved all the sauces. I went when I was affected. And because I was like, go check it out. And that's what I was impressed on, the service. I enjoyed the service. The different sauces I enjoyed. And I enjoyed the size of I don't know why the bun stuck out to me so much, but I love the fact that it wasn't like very bready.
I eat the same way. I hated just eating bread.
Yeah, I mean, you're already eating something breaded.
And it's a locally sourced brioche bun. You guys do a great job with it. I think you're hitting on a lot of the things that when we were talking about this from 17, 18, 19, that was the goal, right? Michael's big thing, we talked about this a lot, was Shake Shack. If you look at what Danny Meyer did with Shake Shack, you could easily say the same thing about the burger space. It's super crowded. And
almost generic to a point.
Yeah, and we felt like, hey, there's a place where you can go with quality ingredients, you can make it warmer. And Ashley really wanted to take her thought on a higher pay scale and creating careers in the fast casual space outside of downtown Raleigh. So we were trying to create quality ingredients, a taste difference that you could see and feel, to Justin's point, bigger chicken breast. And then everything, maybe to a fault, is made inside the restaurant, including all the lovely sauces. So, you know, there's the fine dining element of food prep with the fast casual style. And so it's tough. Yeah, I still love Bojangles, right? Like most people do.
It's not the same though.
But putting them next to each other, it's a totally different experience.
Well, and it's nice to see the level. I personally like that level of commitment to prep because it does taste different when things are made in-house. You know, I mean, eventually, if you get big enough, you're going to get to a point, you're going to have to cut some corners. I get that, you know, because I'm pretty sure Panera didn't start off with everything in a box, you know. I mean, McDonald's actually started off making good hamburgers, you know, back in the day.
Watch your mouth. Still eat some McDonald's every now and then.
McDonald's tastes like McDonald's. It doesn't taste like a burger. It's like Domino's.
Correct.
Domino's does not taste like pizza. It tastes like Domino's.
But I will also argue that Domino's thin crust is like good actual pizza. I know that maybe David Portnoy might be rolling his eyes over talking about that.
And Aaron Vaughen.
And Anthony Guerra. A little shout out. It's so funny you mentioned Shake Shack today. We had the CEO of Shake Shack, Randy Garudi, on like 5 years ago, and today I saw on Instagram he announced his departure from Shake Shack. He's leaving like on good notes and all that, but he was just like, it's time for me to no longer be an employee but to be your biggest fan and move on. But that guy was like a ball of fire, you know, and of course that's Danny Meyer's food company, and Randy was running it and all, and really like just like a guy that enjoys life. You can just tell like he's like big personality. But that's a good example of somebody that went high level, right? And I kind of feel like, because you mentioned it too, it does seem like BB's and Shake Shack are similar in the idea of chef driven. Let's go high when everyone goes low. Let's think of high quality products when people are looking at how they can just, you know, let's do 1 ounce less of fries on everything so that we can skim $1, you know, or in my beverage world, it was like, I always believe a glass of wine is 6 ounces. And for everybody that pours 5 ounces, how dare you? Come on. Because you're not giving us a cheaper glass of wine. You're just...
Unless you have it set up to where you have a pour of like 3 ounces, 5 ounces, 9 ounces, whatever.
Yeah, and actually... to that same point, I just went to a friend of the show, Manny Barea, who's also going to be at Bubbles and Brisket. Jaguar Bolero is Manny's new restaurant, and I went to the opening, and it's funny, all the bars are self-serve, and you get them by ounce, and I would like to think I'm good at technology, but sometimes I'm a moron, and I ended up like,
it's everybody over 40, right?
Oh my God, I was trying to make it happen with like my wristband, and like it's like connected to a wristband and then it's a tap. Anyways, I'm not paying attention. I finally get it to work, and then I look over at Felicia and I start talking to her as I'm pouring rosé, and I'm like, and I turn back, like, oh shit, and it was 12 ounces later, I filled into this massive chalice. I'm like, well, someone's gonna have to drink all this. So
it's a tough job, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you haven't gone, check out Jaguar Bolero in the Ironworks area.
Looks
It was
awesome.
It was cool. It was fun. It's massive too. It's basically like a Dave and Buster's for adults. I think it's 21 and over, but it's like, I don't know, 50,000 square.
Was for adults.
Depends on the time of day.
Yeah, time of day.
True.
Yeah.
And time of the week.
So let's get back in. When I finished writing that article for Raleigh Magazine, I had determined, given the competitive set that I had eaten at, which I believe I ate at Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, KFC, and Bojangles, right? So those are the 4 that were just kind of available to me. I tried Church's, and for some reason I think they were out. But like at this time, there was a line out the door to all of these places. Everyone was going nuts for it. I did say, and I had my friend Terry with me, who also understands food well, and we both agreed that Chick-fil-A, between that competitive set, was the one doing it best. And the reason why I actually would back it up, and this kind of leads into BB's, was that they were making things more to order. When I went into other like Popeyes, they had 50 sandwiches just stacked on top of each other, and you could tell it tasted gross, and it was all like oversteamed inside the bag. But to Chick-fil-A's credit, they were just kind of making things as they come, so it felt fresher. It was pretty good. But I did write at the very end of the whole article, if people are going nuts for a Popeye's chicken sandwich, which to be honest is pretty shitty, then they're going to lose their minds when BB's Crispy Chicken comes out. And of course, we also couldn't expect that then COVID also came out roughly around all the same time. But if I'm having any of those chicken sandwiches, I finally have had BB's and like realized like, no, this is what a real chicken sandwich tastes like. It's like what somebody that cares about food would eat. So I will give you, and this is like not a sponsored content or anything, like I was pleasantly surprised with how good the chicken sandwiches were, and just consistency overall, the strips and all the sauces and all that. So run through like the menu right now, Justin, just for like, so people kind of understand like what is it, what would you get if you went to BB's?
Sure. So I think we speak on chicken sandwiches. That's the draw. That's our main thing. But we have a lot of other options. So we've just recently changed a few menu items. We still have our tenders, the strips. They're hand breaded in house. So we use a seasoned flour cornstarch and drop those to order. I think it's fantastic. It's a really good change for me. Then we have our gluten-free nuggets. So we used to do nuggets the same way we did the chicken sandwich. We did the wet batter par cook process and then the finished cook at the end. We're doing those now with rice flour, panko breadcrumbs. We grind the panko breadcrumbs to get more of a fine touch on the outside to get a crispier exterior and we're cutting both those from breast. So it's really a good, juicy bite. I think for me, the nugget just absorbs the sauce. And so we put all this effort in these sauces, and it's just awesome to take that piece of nugget and dip it in some of our best sauces. I think it really works.
Yeah.
On the gluten-free side, also we have fried green tomatoes and cheese curds, so we could give Manny some help on cheese curds from Top Chef. But I really enjoy those.
Sorry, he had an issue on cheese curds.
They're not easy.
Yeah, he didn't know much about cheese curds on that episode. It almost cost him his spot on the show.
I'm a huge Top Chef fan. I was like, I have no business competing with him, but I thought that was funny. I'm like, we do cheese curds every day.
Don't sell yourself short. They're just on TV.
And then we do hand cut fries now. So previously we purchased fries, and we've put a little more effort into, once again, just having stuff made in house. And
how do you do your fries? Do you soak it in water and vinegar?
Yeah, so we soak it in a little bit of vinegar, salt, and water for 3 hours. Right now, with the potatoes we're getting at this time of the year, 3 hours is kind of where we need to be. I think we'll adjust when we get into the fall on that. But the sole purpose is to remove the starch there.
Yeah.
And so then we drain those out, and then we par cook them and then chill them for quick
That's
serves.
a big ordeal because I used to do hand cut fries. Almost everyone. The biggest place was Tiernanog, and man, we had bins and bins of. So what is that like for you?
I mean, it's the same thing. we have bins and bins of fries. Yeah, I've been working out a lot, punching these potatoes.
One strong arm.
Yeah. I'll lift you up this way.
We had a guy that was like playing high school football at the time at Midtown. We were hand punching those, and we're like, dude, that's your job. And he did it, and he's like, yeah, man. He's like, this is great. And he's just punching. But yeah, that's not an easy job to do every day.
It's not. That's what I said when we first started. I'm like, yeah,
we
punch.
put ours on the wall, and so you could put the bucket right underneath, and then we put like a thing we could clean, like a board on the wall, because it would just be splash with brown potato water.
Yeah, I wore a white shirt one time doing that. Horrible idea.
Yeah. But man, there really is. I like to hear that because hand cut fries, man. They may not always look pretty like some, but they taste so good.
Oh yeah, and that was one of the things we talked about when we were making this last edit to the menu. It's the one thing we were opening a bag on. It was one of everything else was made in the restaurant, and we were open a bag on fries, and Justin led the charge, so we did not push this on him. He was like, hand cut fries would be the way to go, and it's been fantastic.
It's
really
worked well.
change. Yeah.
Super excited about him. I have a 5-year-old who's like a fry connoisseur. I come home smelling like chicken. He's like, where are my fries? He loves them. So.
If it's grown, raised, caught, or made in North Carolina, it's got to be NC. Look for the GTB NC signs to shop for what's truly local.
For those that listen to the show that are on the inside, you might be a chef, a restaurant owner, you make a consumer packaged good, a farmer. Well, become a member of Got to Be NC, because becoming a member not only helps with public events such as trade shows, farmers markets, but we also do these educational trips like the chef field trip to Tidewater Grain, for instance, or going to the NCRLA Chef Showdown or the NRA Food Show in Chicago. Got to Be NC supports local producers and purveyors and really helps bring them all together to support local.
Go to their website, Got to Be NC, GOTTOBENC.com.
If it's got to be, it's got to be NC. I just had, and it's new, I guess, to the menu, the Korean fried chicken sandwich. Is that right?
Yeah.
I did. I was driving home. I knew you guys were going to be on the show, and like, it wasn't like I'm not that good to say I was doing research. I was just, BB's was on my mind. I'm like, now I just I gotta eat it. So my daughter was with me. I picked her up from school, and I'm like, we're gonna go get some chicken sandwiches. She's like, oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
And so, and I always, had to cover both bases. I'm like, in case I don't like the Korean fried chicken, I'm gonna get the regular one too. So I got two. We split them both. I cut them up right down in half and went through, and we both looked at each other. I'm like, I think I kind of like the Korean fried chicken one the most. It was
your daughter?
Crazy. I did, and my daughter too.
That's impressive.
She's a total foodie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she'll eat anything. We're making. She and I are making pickles right now. We're
awesome.
We're pickling in the house.
That's a very important skill, especially in the South.
Yeah. So run us through a little bit of the Korean fried chicken sandwich.
Yeah, in this day and age, my background is not chef. It's working in kitchens, working in restaurants. I really pride myself on being a great home chef. So that style of cooking is a lot, with that flavor profile is a lot what I do at home. And, with the internet and Instagram and flavor Bibles out there, I was just able to start pulling from all that knowledge and start working on a sauce. It's gochujang based, honey, brown sugar, mirin, rice wine vinegar, ketchup, and just really toying with the different levels of heat, what will be best, add crushed red pepper. I really wanted to land on a sauce that wasn't overly spicy so everyone could eat it, but had a little bit of a tinge on the back end of it. And then the slaw, we used some of that sauce in there and to make the slaw with daikon, cabbage, carrot, and green onions. It's my favorite thing on the menu right now, but I'm a big fan. I like it a
Do you
lot.
twice fry the chicken, or is it just the sauce?
It's twice fry on the chicken.
Nice.
And so, what's the reasoning for that? Why would you twice fry?
Well, Korean fried chicken is twice fried. They fry it once, and you soak it in like a cornstarch liquor. They do use like a rice wine to kind of dry it out, and then you fry it again to get it extra crispy, especially when it's on the bone. Have you been to Sioux Cafe?
Oh, yeah, that place rules.
The place is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now they do pieces. They don't do the whole. It's a little different than it used to be, rightfully so. But man, it's still pretty good. But yeah, Korean fried chicken. If you look up, there's different recipes, but you want to twice fry it.
My favorite thing at Sioux Fried Chicken is just watching the K-pop on the screen.
Oh,
like
it's the best part.
I was watching for maybe like 25 minutes, just a loop of the band Sistar. Like Sister, there's just a girl Korean band, Sistar, and like after a while, I kind of knew like all the songs. I'm like, oh yeah, this is pretty sweet.
They're an ice cream, and it's like so like 50-ish in a way.
Yeah,
you know?
it's very like quaint.
But you just sit there, even with somebody, you're like, shh.
Yeah,
You're just eating the chicken and watching.
yeah,
Bizarre and awesome all at the same time.
Yeah.
yeah. So Doug, we were talking about it a little before, and you noticed the voice on the show. That sounded familiar to you.
Very familiar to me. Yeah, Brian's a good friend, and we had a good run at the Canes. So good
Yeah.
dude.
So Brian Hoyle, he's the voice of the show. Great friend. He was my next door neighbor for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
That's how
Wow.
we knew each other. Literally shared a wall and a townhouse, and our kids are roughly the same age. I would say the Hoyles are as close to family as the Trujillos have, and so we know them really well. And in knowing this, for those, obviously you can tell by his voice, he's got this great booming voice. But he was the in-game announcer for the Canes, for the Carolina Hurricanes for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And you yourself worked as what was your title there?
I was VP of marketing.
That's right. Yeah. So you had a lot to do with you changed logos and uniforms and
All kinds
everything.
of fun things. Yeah, anything that wasn't hockey somehow tended to fall in our departments. So Brian was the in-game host
Yeah.
and in-game PA, and so I worked a lot with Brian for those 10 years. And we won a cup together in 06.
Oh, wow.
Because we played really hard, Brian and I both.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
saw
remember you from that year.
Yeah.
Couldn't get him out of the crease, everybody. But yeah.
He's a beast.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, gosh, we almost had it. And talking about this season, we went down 3-0
3-0,
to
yeah.
the Rangers
Yeah.
and then won 2 in a row.
We need a goalie.
And
I feel like you're trying to make me cry right now, Max. I see you got Raiders gear. You know the pain.
oh yeah, if you want to know tragedy, be a Raider fan. Yeah.
I'm a Cowboys fan. I know pain.
Oh, disgusting. Let me guess. Are you also a Yankees fan?
Red Sox.
Oh, weird. Usually it's
Well, being from North Carolina,
Lakers.
things are odd.
Lakers. Yeah, thank you. It's
Well-
Lakers, Yankees, Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's you know who you are, and no one likes you.
And-
You are a particular type of person.
That's why I became a Red Sox fan, because everyone didn't like that I was a Cowboys fan. The reason I was a Cowboys fan was because my uncle lived in Plano, and then my other uncle lived in Lexington, Massachusetts. So that's why I'm a Red Sox fan. And I do follow the Hurricanes because they're here. And basketball, I don't really care. You know, I followed Carolina players. I'm a UNC fan, so I love the Bulls. When Jordan was there. And I love the
Sounds like
Raptors
you're
when
really
Vince was
just
there.
a star fucker. Come on, you're just saying all the biggest names ever that have ever existed.
Well,
Yeah.
when you're a fan of Tar Heels, you can't help it that the GOAT played for the Tar Heels.
Sure.
You kind of follow him, so can't help that. And then
You seem
family.
like such a nice guy, as an NC State grad and a Washington Commanders fan.
Well-
You're hurting me right now.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you're a Commanders fan.
Yeah.
State, I don't mind. I grew up selling programs at State. All my friends had their parents had season tickets, so we went to a lot of state football games. Like I said, I sold programs. Back in the day when you could sit on the hill and everything. So I love State. It's just when they play Carolina. You know,
That's fair.
It's Duke I don't like.
We're an NC State family. We had to make a decision when we moved here from LA, and I was like, well, they're the Raleigh University, and also being a Raider fan, I don't like picking the team that everyone else goes with. I like going against the grain a little bit.
We appreciate that.
And that is, unless my daughters get full rides to Duke, then go Devils!
Dude, yeah, same.
Yeah. Anyhow.
That's different.
Yeah. Well, so, okay. I'm curious. So, like, and speaking to you, Doug, about MDO, because MDO Holdings owns a few different things, and Michael Olander Jr., he's not a stranger to the business, and not to like speak about him when he's not in the room, but obviously Eliza, his mother, she was very instrumental with AC when building the restaurants and getting things going. But then also his father had a lot to do with, I believe, Applebee's, right? With, like, kind of getting off the ground. So this is not the first time this family has gone around to building and growing a food empire, so to speak, right?
No, not at all.
And how is that like working with the family in that capacity of knowing, like, they know what they're doing? So how do you kind of work inside of that?
Totally, and it's interesting. His mom and dad aren't in the business, but a lot of influence from just their past experiences. His dad and mom both started, I think, at Burger King, and grew a large Burger King chain, and then went into Applebee's, and I think they at their peak was 135 Applebee's, which is crazy. A ton. And it's funny.
Isn't he a part owner of the Canes now? Or was for a while?
Eliza was for a little bit. The new owner bought out all the partial owners, which is a whole other topic, a whole other podcast. But it's interesting when Michael talks about, if you think back in the day in the 90s, those Applebee's openings, especially in those smaller towns, that was like the deal, right?
Yeah.
And so, Michael tells these stories about what that meant. And I think our company, MDO Holdings, is based essentially on hospitality. We've got wellness brands and kind of gyms and yoga studios and physical therapy, but it's all based on hospitality. And how do you do that at an elevated level? And I think that's what he saw as a kid was, you think of Applebee's now, you might not think of that kind of elevated thing. But when it came into a town, it was special. There were ribbon cuttings, and there were, local radio stars that would come out and those things. And that's what he's talked about a great deal.
Well, connecting hospitality to one of those concepts is O2 Fitness, right? That's one of the main concepts that MDO Holdings has. And when I first moved to Raleigh, actually it was prior to me moving, when I just came out to interview for a restaurant, I was driving from Charlotte. I'd flown into Charlotte. I had an interview. It was the only Raleigh interview I had up in at Midtown Grill, which I ultimately took that job. But as I was taking that, roughly 2.5, 3 hour drive from Charlotte to Raleigh, I needed a place where I could like change and kind of just, get ready. I'd been on a red eye flying through the night, and my wife was looking through and she noticed that O2 Fitness had some sort of connection to the Spectrum Club, which we were members of in Los Angeles, which is, fancy gym out there. And so she called ahead and was like, hey, I know my husband's not a member, but is there any way he could just use your, facilities to just kind of clean up and all? And they're like, oh, of course, don't worry about it. Like, please come on in. And it was like our first brush with that like Southern hospitality or so.
Yeah.
And it felt like when I walked in, of course, I'm like the only guy walking into a gym with like a suit bag over my shoulder. And, like it was pretty obvious I was the guy. So the
Very
ladies.
serious workout guy.
Yeah. I work out with a bolo tie. And so, but no, they're like, please, right this way, sir. And they had like my name, but Mr. Trujillo, come over here, blah, 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 and got me in there. And it put me like on the right path. And I felt really good to like have the right headspace to then go on an interview. And I obviously did all right because I got the gig, but it was cool. And it was literally the first place I walked into in North Carolina was an O2 Fitness.
That's awesome.
And it was tremendous. And so it was cool. And it's like, all right, well, this is a small world. You've got these great food companies, and then it extends out. And so I do like that there is someone behind it. It's not like just, these evil empires and it's corporate and this and that. It's like, no, it's a family that kind of came up and did a lot, and succeeded, and then branched out and became great entrepreneurs. So you've worked with the company now for how long? You've been there for a while.
7.5 years. Yeah. It seems to go quickly. But yeah, it's been fun. And when I came in, the only food piece that we had at the time was Happy and Hail. We were in with Tyler and Matt on Happy and Hail. Sold our majority stake in that in 2019, but Rise Biscuits on the franchisor side.
Yeah.
And it's been fun to kind of see how those influence what we're doing at BB's.
Yeah.
And we try to take little things. We've got the Durham Food Hall. We had a concept in Wilmington, Epic Food Company. So we've played around in the space a good bit as MDO Holdings as well, and our teams kind of sharpen their knife. But it's been a fun venture for sure.
Weren't you a part of St. Rock for a while?
Yeah, helped Sonny get St. Rock launched, and we have a marketing team that kind of helped with the Happy and Hail team. We tried to help with Sonny. Those guys, both Tyler and Sonny, both have pretty good visions themselves, so it was really more implementing what they were trying to do. But man, what Sonny's done is fantastic.
Oh man,
yeah, and I mean, but you guys effectively were the support that most of these creatives need to get off the ground and to make something happen. I mean, it's not easy to find that marriage of financial backing, but also clear vision. Aaron, I probably wouldn't be the first person to say that most chefs don't really know how to build a business and structure it and grow it. So, you need to have
I've learned a lot myself, even though I've not done that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember what do you want to do? I want to open up a restaurant. How you going to do it? I don't know. Hopefully I meet somebody.
Kudos to Michael and his dad. They're both still on the board for Happy and Hail. They don't want spotlight, right? They want to create cool brands and be in the background. Justin may want to delete Michael's number out of his phone sometimes because he pays attention to what we're doing. He's in the restaurants a lot. He's trying things. He's got a lot of ideas, but he also is open to being wrong. And it's a fun dynamic when you bring bright people in of just how you bounce that off. How do you create what's right? We're always constantly changing, evolving, getting better. That's what I enjoy about the company.
Yeah, and Aaron, I didn't even realize there was another connection because you ran your own Rise. You were a chef of one of the Rise locations.
Yeah, North Raleigh.
I forgot that MDO had something to do with that. So yeah, he was.
Well, I wasn't with MDO there. There was just Shasheen, and because every Rise was individually owned.
Yeah.
So we own the North Raleigh store right there in Sutton Square, and my owners were Shasheen and Mehul, and they're no longer the owners anymore. So which one did y'all?
So we're part of the franchisor. So Michael and his dad, we're always at the franchisor level.
Oh, okay.
I think
so. We
opened a couple of franchise locations, but usually better at the franchisor space. So.
Yeah, that side of the business is still fascinating to me as well because, you're following along guidelines. I mean, the franchise model. I mean, obviously, what it's like every Subway is essentially a franchise model, right? I think, but to be able to brand it so strongly and then make sure that vision is seen by everyone has got to be a struggle. It's probably not the easiest thing to do.
It's not, and they did a nice pivot where they went away from donuts being the calling card, right, to the chicken sandwich being more of the focal point, biscuits, the chicken biscuit, and that was always their tagline on the back end was the donuts get people in, the biscuits keep people coming back.
Sure.
And they, to both of their credits, Michael and his dad, they kind of pivoted that a bit as they were trying to focus more on how do you get a lunch crowd, how do you build this out further, and how do you reduce kind of your need for huge, crazy staffing and for franchisees who have to put together donuts and don't know how to crush Oreos to make the right toppings for things. It's always a process of streamlining.
Yeah.
Yeah, their biggest struggle I think they got to the 5th or 6th store was finding donut makers.
Yeah.
Because we all found them. I had mine, mine was always the top donut maker, but can I borrow her?
Well, that was always the joke with Krispy Kreme, right? They're a yeast sales company as much as they are, because that's what they sell to the franchisees. And if you don't go that route, you've got to figure it out, which is hard to have somebody open a business and then find a donut company to make it. So.
Yeah, Justin, how's that going for you? Staffing, hiring, that's got to be a challenge, right?
Yeah, it's an everyday challenge. Currently, I'm pretty well staffed, so where's some wood to knock on? But
knock on that.
But y'all take care of your staff,
we
right?
take care of our team, so I think we pay a very competitive wage from bottom all the way to the top, and it's really helped with turnover. I think we have a very low churn.
That's great.
Since I've been with the team, I was able to kind of pull some strings from people that I had previous relationships with in previous brands and get them to join over. And we've just formed back together, and we have a really strong team. I'm very proud of my team right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's important.
I mean, you're talking about like the donut maker. I mean, that's every industry. You know, every
If
concept,
you don't have a good
have
donut,
that
then it
person,
messes
right?
everything
Like
else
you
up.
need the grill guy. There's a position that
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to have, and it's just the most pivotal piece in the building. If you don't have it,
Well,
it's
that's what I
mayhem,
think
so.
franchises are so interesting to me, because being a part of Rise and watching it, how it first started, and as a chef, I hated the changes, but they were necessary.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, just to see them pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot to where they are now, and I'm just like, well, you know, I'm glad I'm not there anymore for my own sake, but they're much better business now.
Well, and you had alluded to this earlier, Justin. Actually, maybe Doug. I think you might have said it. Everything's being made in house at each location. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So, like you know, for those that don't understand, there's sometimes you have a commissary kitchen where you'll make all of your sauces, and you might even cut all the portions of meat, or you'll just do things on larger scale, and then you'll have those trucks, let's say, ship out to the local areas. I worked for Wolfgang Puck for a long time, and he had done that for his cafes. He had gone the commissary route, but I was in there both before he had done it and then after, and then they realized that did not work, and they went back to the let's do it all at the one location. And specifically, I can only speak to the stuff I know, but we had a tortilla soup and we had a butternut squash soup, and those are the two things that were kind of defining for the Wolfgang Puck cafes. And I mean, literally, like, almost every table had at least one of those soups at every order. So it was a huge thing. And when they decided to batch them and then ship them out, the quality was it wasn't the same. And you could argue like, well, it's exactly the same, because that's the way you're doing it. But there is some sort of nuance when it's just being made fresh in-house, and maybe it even has some other like scientific properties of like resealing and sharing and encasing or whatever you want to say. But when we received enough negative information from the community, we realized let's not do that anymore, and we went back to just making it in-house. I think all the chefs too were like, every location had its own chef, much like you were saying with Rise. They're like, we could make a soup. That wasn't what was the struggle here, like that's fine. Like and we were also hand making dough, and it was a wood fire pizza oven. They're like, now if we could get like the wood always, perfect, and the temperatures in the ovens all the time great, that would be easier to streamline. But the soup, that's not that big of a deal. So where does that come in for you, and how does that that's got to create a challenge to just start like a menu from scratch every day and not have the power of a commissary behind you?
I think, Ashley's influence still sits with us in our process and routine on when things are done and the time of the day they're done. That, I've really just taken that and adapted it, and it really works with the flow of the restaurant. And it's you're getting certain things done prior to open, you're getting certain things done during the shift, and then you're getting certain things done during midday, kind of outside of your peaks. And it really just flows in from day to day. And like you said, starting from scratch every day, and the soups and whatnot, oxygen just does crazy things to food. So, like having it day over day with that exposure, it's just not, the quality is going to deteriorate. So it's something to be proud about and have pride in our arena.
Two things really quick. One, to the point earlier of no turnover, our preppers at Midtown East, our first location, are the same from day one, which is really cool. And they are key because they do the prep on the first par cook of chicken, which is big. But two, to Justin's point, he came in and streamlined a lot. I think that's what we struggled with, and it's fine to call us out. When we opened, Ashley did her job. She got big crowds. We didn't do our job, and Justin wasn't here yet, so he knows this is where he came in to help. We weren't consistent, and we had a lot of people would say, hey, I came this time, best chicken sandwich I've ever had. Came the next time, and it was meh, right? And that was our biggest challenge, was there was so much done back of house, and then how do we streamline that process so that it doesn't feel so chaotic? And when you don't know at the start, that's the toughest part of opening a restaurant. You don't know what the crowds are going to be like. You don't know who's going to show when. You don't know how much you need to par cook. You don't want to throw out too much. That was our big challenge, I'd say, for the first 6 months to a year, is streamlining that back of house process.
Well, I think it comes down to, like, you still need humans, and as much automation as you put forth, I mean, we're making food for humans to consume. And, I get that your favorite McDonald's over there might do a lot of automated things. I mean, Lord knows I know how, no offense to my Starbucks baristas, but every Starbucks barista I hired to run the cafe at Crafton when I had it, they looked at a manual machine like we had, like an old school traditional espresso machine, and they're like,
Where's the button?
yeah. What do I do? And I'm like, you're a barista. They're like, oh, we just push buttons. And I mean, no offense to anybody that works at Starbucks that actually knows how to make it, but you also know that you work with employees that have no concept of how to truly make an espresso drink from scratch. And that whole idea, automation and microwaves and all those things do not lend themselves to making the best product. It might be the most efficient, but at the end, is it yummy? And I think I love that you guys are going back to this mentality of quality is the only way to truly succeed, and it has to be fantastic for it to grow.
Well, I just think with the chicken tenders alone, the fact that you're hand breading them and doing them to order. I mean, people were like, man, why is it taking so long? Like, did you just hear what I said?
Yeah.
We're hand breading.
You want to have them come sit in the side of the restaurant
I got a
sometimes?
position for you.
Oh yeah, you could be a greeter. You could be like the guy at Walmart.
Hey, I'm looking for a part-time job. You just let me know. No, the thing is, I'm anybody's biggest fan, and I know what you're going through because setting up systems and setting up recipes, and you got to stick to it because as a family-owned restaurant, you kind of. I remember. Oh, we're a family-owned restaurant. We do things differently. But then when I was younger, I was like, yeah. And then when I got a loader, I was like, but we got to make everything the same. So follow this recipe. And so it started getting a little bit more organized. I've never once been where you're at, but how does that work there? I mean, he's talked about streamlining. What did you actually do to streamline?
I think my background really helped with that. Some of the brands I work for, they're powerhouses, 3,000 locations, 20,000 locations.
Panera and Buffalo Wild
systems,
Wings.
tools, and processes is how they survive.
Yeah.
There's equipment and buttons and stuff like that as well. But
well needed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much rooted in system, tools, and processes. So taking my experience and bringing those thought processes and some of the knowledge and how to work it, and then relay that to the team. Most of the team just wants to understand the why. So you give them the why. Here's your tool, how to get to that.
Yeah,
and it really works.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, as we get out of here, the one thing I really do like, and like for my girls, for my family, I'll eat Taco Bell every day of the week, and I have the worst diet. I love great, and I love.
I thought you were at the gym all the time. What's going on?
Oh yeah,
in the bolo tie.
Yeah. First and last time I was at an O2 Fitness was that day. But I do like that as a quick service restaurant, you're not like fast food, junky food. It's like you do strive. I mean, it's written on your mission statement out there too, but striving to be a healthy menu. And I mean, ultimately, you are serving a fried chicken. So we understand there's a couple levels that you're going to omit just given the fact of what it is. But with the different type of breading, the gluten-free options, and then good sourcing, it truly is like a fairly healthy sandwich, if you will. I mean, was that like part of what was the intention of kind of separating yourself from, say, Bow Time?
Yeah, completely. And kudos to Ashley. I kind of made this joke earlier, but it was March 2020. She wanted to take me to chicken coops so I could see the difference in what a mass-produced chicken coop looks like and a better chicken coop looks like. And it was eye-opening for me,
It's very eye-opening.
And it was a really cool experience. And that's why we haven't relented on the quality of chicken, and not to call out any competitors, but, when you see people going back on what they're doing and they're putting antibiotics back in their chicken and those pieces, it's not as good for the body. It's not as good for what you're doing. I would put our crispy chicken sandwich up against any healthy option at any of their fast casual place.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I
think it's
agree
going to
with
be better
that.
for you. And especially when it's the handmade honey mustard you're dipping into, you're not ripping open a top of gelatinous glob.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's just those.
Who knows
pieces
what's in it? Who knows where it came
Jiggles
from?
all together.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even look like it. You can turn it upside down and it doesn't come out.
When it doesn't come out, that's scary, right? And that's what's been fun about creating this, and Justin's done a fantastic job of just trying, from Ashley's vision and Michael's vision of what an elevated brand would be. We're not going to relent on that, and we feel like there's a space for that.
It's cool. Yeah, and you do grilled. You do the grilled side of things too. So yeah, so
Oh,
you
wow.
can have grilled chicken as well. And I know like Matt, his father is a cardiologist, and so he's always conscious about like heart health. And if Matt was going to go to BB's, he'd see me wolfing down the Korean fried chicken and the domestic one or the regular one. But he would probably do the grilled of it. And if you're doing grilled chicken and some beautiful sauces, like, I mean, that's hitting a lot of key points on a health scale. So that's great. At this point, I mean, now like as we're kind of done here, you have 3 locations. Is there any plan for growth at this particular time? Are you just content with the 3 right now? What's the plan?
I think hindsight being what it was, I think we'd be growing to 3 right now. So I think some of those pivots were a little tougher because we were pivoting on 3 locations. I think we're good right now. We want to perfect the process. We're getting a lot better at it. Growth down the line for sure, but right now I think the 3 are great. And I think we've made some changes too that we didn't talk about of bringing the price back down. We've tried to find small ways that we can bring the price of the sandwich back down, and that's another thing that we really are proud of. The combos that we just rolled out are right in line with Chick-fil-A combo pricing. So we feel like you get better quality, better taste, local, and on Sunday.
Well, it's just like when you go to get a burger, nowadays it's still $10 at your beloved McDonald's. But you can go, but everyone would go to a regular restaurant. I'm not paying $10 for a burger. I can go to McDonald's for $5. Like, not anymore.
Not anymore.
No.
No. I would highly encourage, though, with your 4th location, drive-through.
That is definitely on the roadmap.
That is day one.
Right?
It's like, we need drive-thrus. Yeah.
And I'm only speaking because
You would do that much more business.
It's a convenience factor.
It is.
People like a lot of times you choose convenience over taste.
It will
Well, just
either,
tailgating alone for football for state fans. That's the reason they go to Bojangles, because they can just go in, get the tailgate packet, and they're gone.
We do have a tailgate package. I would say the other thing that you might see from us, the West Cary location that's attached to Rosecomb Beer Garden has a big outdoor patio space. That's a pretty killer setup for us too.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Do y'all do pieces like, bone-in chicken, fried chicken?
No, we don't.
Not currently.
I didn't mean to stir anything up. I was just asking.
Not currently is a
The
good
colonel's
response.
going
I
to
worked
shove
on
him into
some
a
things.
locker if
I
you
worked
try.
on some things.
Yeah.
His wing background comes out sometimes when he's yeah.
It is funny. I just went to the Taco Bell KFC the other day up in North Raleigh, and they had a big note on there that said, KFC is no longer here. It's just a Taco Bell. And I was like, oh, and I said to the lady, I go, were they not paying their rent? Did they not do the dishes? Like, what? Were they just bad roommates or something? And she just looked at me like she was kind of like, I don't have time for this, man. Like,
It's funny how they've done that, because some have just gone to Taco Bell, some have just gone to KFC.
Yeah.
It's just really weird.
yeah.
Interesting.
I still don't like it, either one.
You don't like Taco Bell?
I do like Taco Bell, but KFC. After we talked about fried chicken, I was like, all right, I'll give it. It was just steamed and terrible, and it was horrible.
This episode's not brought to you by Kentucky Fried Chicken. No.
At all.
At all. And I'm okay with that. That's fine. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us today. Now I am so hungry.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
time
going to BB's right after this.
Right? Yeah.
I want that Korean chicken.
There you go.
Yeah.
So recap.
Get out there, go to BB's, get some fried chicken, get some grilled chicken, get some strips, get all those sauces, the curds. Oh my God,
Get
there's so
both,
much.
like Max.
Yeah, get everything. And as Matt would say, you will eat and drink merrily.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes, and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.
Okay, well, let's take a quick break let's take a break from the liquor, and let's pep ourselves up again a little bit, guys. We got some coffee in our hands. We're talking about Carborough Coffee Roasters, and we have Lane Mitchell, who just zoomed on in with this amazing flavor wheel in your background. Lane, hello, how are you?
I'm doing really well. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good, good.
So what are we drinking today?
Yeah, so what we got in at the roastery, which I'm super excited about, is a washed geisha from an African geisha from Guatemala. from one of our partners who we've been working with for about 20 years. And Gesha is a really interesting variety of coffee. It is found in the Gesha village or Gesha Gora rainforest in Kaffa, southwest Ethiopia. And it's a really sweet coffee. One of the things that is a theme in kind of the specialty coffee industry is trying to maintain the integrity of the seeds as the environment's changing, the climate's changing. It's becoming not as hospitable to a lot of different varieties of coffee as it had been. And so Annabella, who we work with a lot in Guatemala, has contracted with a seed vault in Africa that specializes in these Gesha seedlings and got them transferred through a research company over to Guatemala, and now she's growing these African Gesha seedlings in Guatemala. So it's she's trying to preserve the integrity of the variety.
Yeah.
I love this coffee because it's a typical Gesha profile. It has a lot of guava, a lot of white apricot, some green apple acidity, candied lemon, and florals. And it's really a beautiful coffee for the summer. It's not that hot. It's not that heavy. It's a little bit more light on the palate, and it's super delicious.
No, it's fantastic. I appreciate you bringing this in, and it's a little different from some of the stuff we've had. We've had some Central and South America coffees, but switching over to Africa, is there just a very generic difference between African coffee to Central and South America?
Well, there had been in the past, but now as seeds are moving from place to place, what you'll find is a lot of homogeneity in the seeds. And so African coffees traditionally are a little lighter, a little bit more citrusy, more tea-like, and a kind of a more kind of tropical fruit flavor, where in Central America, they tend to be a little bit more deep sweet body and more higher tropical fruit and juicy flavors. So that's just a very general point. We're doing a lot of processing changes and changes in how the coffee is treated after it's picked, really changes the dynamics of the coffee flavors. So that's why we have this beautiful coffee wheel, so we can start talking about the flavors in coffee.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate it. Thank you for bringing the coffee out here. For those interested in getting themselves some Carborough coffee roasters, go to carboroughcoffee.com. Sign up, go to Cafe Driada. We were just talking about how beautiful it is out there. Get a coffee, sit out under the stars, out by the trees, get some nature in your life. It's fantastic. Well, Lane, thank you very much, and we will talk soon.
Thanks for sobering us up.
Thank you for the
Lane.
coffee.
Okay. All right. Back to the alcohol.